Lonely Cowboy and the Hidden Rich Family. The prairie stretched endlessly beneath a pale winter sky. Snow lay thin across the land, cracked by hoofprints and wagon tracks long forgotten. On a small, weather-beaten ranch at the edge of the territory lived a man named Ethan Cole. Ethan was known as the Quiet Cowboy. Not unfriendly, just alone. His days were filled with work, feeding cattle, mending broken fences, hauling water from a frozen creek. His nights were colder than the days, spent beside a fire that barely warmed the cabin walls. He had lost his parents years earlier. No wife, no children, only memories, and silence. People in town said Ethan chose loneliness. But the truth was simpler. Loneliness had chosen him. A storm and a strange sight. One bitter evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, a storm rolled in fast. Wind howled like a warning. Snow fell heavier by the minute. That's when Ethan saw them. A broken wagon near the trail. A small boy, thin and trembling. And an elderly woman, barely standing, holding him close. They had no fire, no shelter. Ethan didn't think. He only acted. He rode closer and spoke gently. "You'll freeze out here. Come with me." The woman hesitated, pride and fear fighting in her eyes. But the boy's shaking hands decided for her. Sharing the last meal. Inside Ethan's cabin, warmth slowly returned to their frozen bodies. He placed his only meal on the table, stew meant to last him days. He divided it into 3 bowls. The boy ate slowly, as if afraid the food might disappear. The woman whispered thanks, her voice breaking. Ethan said nothing. He simply pushed his plate closer to them. That night, for the first time in years, laughter echoed inside the cabin. Days of quiet bonding. The storm trapped them together for days. The boy's name was Lucas. Curious, bright-eyed. The woman was Margaret. Calm, wise, and quietly observant. They spoke little of their past. Ethan didn't ask. They helped around the ranch. Lucas fed the chickens. Margaret cooked and cleaned despite her age. Something changed in Ethan's heart. The cabin no longer felt empty. Whispers in town. When Ethan rode into town for supplies, people noticed. Who are they? Why would strangers stay with him? Some whispered suspicion. Others showed envy. But Ethan ignored them all. Kindness didn't need explanation. The arrival of the carriage. One clear morning, the sound of hooves shattered the quiet. A fine black carriage, polished and guarded, rolled toward the ranch. Men in tailored coats stepped down. They bowed to Margaret. The truth unfolded slowly. Margaret and Lucas were heirs to one of the richest families in the territory, robbed, betrayed, and left stranded by those they trusted. They had hidden their identity, to see who would help without knowing. Ethan stood frozen. Reward refused, destiny accepted. Gold was offered, land, power. Ethan refused most of it. "I helped because it was right," he said quietly. But Margaret insisted. She ensured Ethan's ranch would prosper. Livestock multiplied, land expanded, not as payment, but as gratitude. A different kind of wealth. Lucas hugged Ethan tightly before leaving. "You weren't lonely," the boy said. "You just hadn't found us yet." As the carriage disappeared into the distance, Ethan felt something new. Not wealth, not pride, but peace. Because sometimes, the greatest reward for kindness is never gold, it's being remembered. this story touched your heart, subscribe for more emotional Western stories.